The following video contains spoilers. We suggest watching the episodes alone in the dark. Another day, another multi-pack review to get past the copyright bots. Hello there, Wolfpack. We're back, and today we're going to do another rapid-fire review video to analyze some classic Are You Afraid of the Dark tales, so we can singe away my request pile and give our opinions on episodes people really wanted us to tackle. For those of you who didn't see our last rapid-fire video a while back, this is the second time we're bull-rushing through Are You Afraid of the Dark tales that we didn't want to fight with copyright crybabies over, and didn't have enough content to give full-length reviews to. So we'll be giving them micro-reviews instead. As I said before, some Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes will still be getting their true single reviews in the future, but sadly not all of them. And these are the ones that are getting crammed together for shorter look-ats. Well, let's stop wasting time and check these out. Are You Afraid of the Dark lasted a total of 7 seasons, featuring nearly 91 episodes, so we have a lot on our plate to eat up. This is my quick review on numerous requested tales from the hit horror series, Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Tale of the Phantom Cab was the first episode of the entire series, introducing us to the Midnight Society, the popular recurring villain Dr. Vink, and the standard spooky formula for this beloved horror series. However, I'm not going to be doing a feature-long length video on this tale, since JonTron already talked about it, and I didn't think it was all that great. In this episode, 2 stupid brothers who can't act get lost in the dark forest before encountering this creepy old guy who keeps his hand uncomfortably shoved in his pants at all times, before the old guy takes them to Dr. Vink's hut in the woods. Dr. Vink strangely acts like this evil version of Hagrid, what with his disturbed homeless man look, lack of personal hygiene, love for scary creatures, and living out in a scary hut where he boils up new experiments. When the kids ask Dr. Vink for help, he says that he'll only help them out if they solve his riddle, because I guess Vink wants to be smarter than that Edward Nygma guy. The kids fail because they're morons, and the doc kicks them out on the street. But it's okay, because the creepy old guy picks them up in his car, and naturally, the kids take a ride from a creepy stranger. But it's revealed through an overly complicated plot twist that the old guy is really a ghost who kills people for Dr. Vink. That way the evil scientist can claim specimen samples from the victims' bodies, and thus claim their souls. However, the idiot kids actually outsmart the villains and solve the riddle 1 minute away from death. Contrary to what JonTron showed us, the kids actually lived in the end, but when they call the cops on the mad doctor, he and his entire house vanish without a trace. Ooh. This episode's biggest problems are the very awful acting and confusing plot twist. It makes us think that Dr. Vink was a ghost too, but since I saw the Midnight Madness, I can confirm that no, Dr. Vink is not a ghost, because the sequel episode showed us that he was clearly a human guy. The Phantom Cab was just a weak, meh episode that did not give Are You Afraid of the Dark a very strong start. Much like the Nightmare Room, the second episode of the series was much better than the pilot. The Phantom Cab has some scary moments, but the acting and writing definitely required maintenance. I give it a bronze skull.
You're not a ranger, are you? Ranger? No, not me. I'm a serial killer.
Oh joy, another Sardo episode. I said it in the last rapid fire review, but I'll say it again. I don't like Sardo. But don't worry, I will admit that this was a slightly better episode than the Super Specs, since the ditzy magician gets sidelined during the important parts, so thanks for showing me mercy, TV show. This is a classic, believe in yourself and love you for who you are tale, with a sympathetic handicap protagonist you can root for, as he tries to make it out past Sardo's stupidity and his magical drug addiction. In this tale, a troubled handicapped boy who has zero self-confidence purchases a magical potion from Sardo that would make him overcome his limp leg and turn him into a cool guy who's a big hit with the ladies. However, because Sardo is an idiot, he apparently forgot to warn the kid that the magic potion will also warp the user into a disfigured monster if they ever miss a day to re-drink the potion. And as you can guess, they do play it up as a symbolic drug addiction, where we want to see our kid hero break free from the potion's hold over him. There are some really awesome makeup effects here, since the kid does turn into a genuinely horrifying monster man, similar to Jekyll and Hyde. Our kid hero keeps using this potion until the day of the prom, of course, but his nerdy friend-zoned gal pal steals the potion from his locker and stupidly consumes it all herself to become hot like him and finally impress the main character. Unfortunately, she overdoses on the potion and dies. But, I kid you not, the main character uses magic Pikachu tears to bring her back to life, and somehow breaks the potion's curse with the power of true love. Oh my gosh, I thought this cliche was dead at this point. I honestly thought that Are You Afraid of the Dark was above the stupid magical healing tears cliche, but nope, they proved me wrong. The magic tears and power of love solving all the life issues were definitely the stupidest parts of this whole episode. But overall, I thought that this was an okay tale. I truly did feel for our main characters and the addiction themes, but the magic tears and love power kind of ruined it for me, since that felt so schmaltzy, even for Are You Afraid of the Dark? Not bad, but kind of cheesy. Also, there was no dragon in it. The dark dragon was really a metaphor for your inner hate. Lame. I give it a silver skull. The Curious Camera is pretty much Are You Afraid of the Dark's version of Say Cheese and Die. A shy loser nerd gets his hands on a magic camera from a mysterious photographer who did a bad picture of him in school picture day. But naturally, the boy discovers that this camera can make terrible things happen to people in the real world. And of course, all the power goes to his head. The kid, at first, uses this to get justifiable revenge on idiot bullies, but then it turns into a completely different story in the second half of the plot. In the first half of this episode, it feels like a classic loser gaining the ultimate power and standing up for himself tale before getting power hungry. But in the second half, we find out that there's some kind of evil ghost gremlin possessing the camera and destroying stuff of its own free will. And then the kid pulls a complete 180 by trying to save the world from this evil demon, even though he was almost just as blinded by the power too. Somehow, the main character accidentally snaps a picture of his parents, who are shown to die in a car crash soon, if the kid and his little sister don't do anything to stop their future deaths. The kids use a mirror to force the camera to take a picture of itself, causing it to then kill itself. But things really bounce off the walls when the gremlin ghost, virus, or whatever starts possessing all their other technology. Seriously, the gremlin virus jumps into both a TV set and a camcorder. but the kids seemingly kill it for good and save their idiot parents just in time. But then, the twist ending reveals that the gremlin ghost survived and took over their Dell computer. Oh no, now he can't download video games over 8 gigabytes. Truthfully, I thought this episode was okay, but its only real problem is that it loses focus so easily and brings up a few plot points that don't really get fully resolved. Otherwise, it's just a goofy fun episode rather than a dark, terrifying adventure. I'll give this one a gold skull. It's not perfect, but overall fun for the kids and passable for the adults. The Tale of the Fire Ghost is about 2 naive children waiting at a fire station overnight to spend time with their distant firefighter father, but accidentally getting trapped inside the scary station during a blackout, where a vengeful spirit comes after them in order to gain vengeance against the firefighters. Sounds good so far. Scary concept, decent acting, and a sense of fun horror. What could go wrong? Well, halfway into the story, we meet a ghost firefighter who befriends the kids and tries protecting them from the danger hiding within the fire station. In a very confusing scene, the ghost firefighter explains to the kids that, no joke, fire is a living sentient being that despises humans who try to put it out, and is fully capable of planning revenge schemes to avenge its extinguished brethren. What? In all honesty, I was kind of expecting the fire ghost to be a dead firefighter who sought revenge for being abandoned by his coworkers in a burning building, but nope, the fire ghost is a living elemental being that can take up a human form and break into places to burn people to death. It's kind of stupider than what I'm used to seeing on these horror shows, but whatever. Interesting concept with some obvious BS logic. Is it still fun? Sort of. As the kids search for help getting out of the fire station, they bump into a guy who looks like Leon Kennedy, but surprise, Leon Kennedy is the fire ghost, and he attempts to murder the children by burning them to death. However, with the help of the noble ghost, they easily kill the fire ghost by tricking him into setting off the emergency sprinklers built inside the fire station. Which kind of renders the fire ghost's revenge scheme completely stupid, since he'd probably die before burning anyone alive. Honestly, I thought this episode was okay, but one of the greatest parts of this tale is its haunting atmosphere and gripping suspense. I was almost tempted to give it a perfect score, since the plot was playing out at a really great pace, and I was so invested in some of the dark moments. It was kind of fun. But the main villain and his evil plan do have some noticeable logic holes. Nevertheless, I think I'll recommend checking it out because it was still mostly amusing, aside from a rushed climax. It's a close call, but I can give this tale a gold skull. Go back to Resident Evil, Leon Kennedy. You're no Human Torch.
Well, I really don't give a damn.
The Tale of the Whispering Walls is pretty much a typical haunted house story. Some stupid kids and their bad-acting babysitter get lost in the countryside, where a creepy guy who looks like a Cenobite tells them to head to this haunted mansion for directions. And like morons, they of course go inside the obviously evil house and get trapped. Honestly, there are some pretty awesome haunted house effects that do feel super creepy and a bit fun. Sadly, the worst part of this tale is the main characters. The main kids suck. The babysitter can't act, and the two younger siblings, in particular the little brother, are so annoying. The kids spend a lot of time snarking at each other, crying, and bickering like petty morons, which kind of took away from the intensity of the haunted atmosphere. Yet, I thought the story was pretty interesting and mostly enjoyable for the kids. The Cenobite guy reveals that he and the haunted house are evil demons and devour the souls of travelers who are foolish enough to get lost in their area. So the main characters attempt to fight for their lives and escape. A silly Scooby-Doo chase ensues, and some wacky haunted hijinks occur, but of course the kids get out. How? Well, it turns out that the previous victims of the house are ghosts haunting it as well, but they decide to fight back and save the kids from the evildoers, and they escape. But as they drive off, another idiot gets lost in the woods and goes into the exact same house, implying that the cycle of death will continue.
The cycle continues.
I actually didn't like the twist ending, because we see that the ghosts who died in the house in the past can fight back at any given time and save many more future victims, so I don't feel that scared by the end. Seriously, when you show that the villain can be defeated at any time by their own prisoners, it just robs the "here we go again" twist of any fear power. Overall, this was simply a haunted house story, but not the worst horror story ever. It just wants to be fun for the kids. I can give this episode a gold skull, but just barely. Not one of my favorites, but it was just goofy amusement. The Tale of the Hungry Hounds is a simple ghost possession story, along with a whiny stuck-up valley girl coming down to earth in order to grow into a more mature person. In this tale, an obnoxiously bratty valley girl named Amy visits her country folk family members out in some farmland for a week. However, her naive cousin Pam gets possessed by the ghost of their long-dead relative Dora, who drags the girls into a Silent Hill world where the ghosts must finish their incomplete mission of feeding the lost family dogs, or else be trapped in limbo for all eternity. Amy naturally grows as a better person and assists the ghost in her objective, only so the ghost can release her cousin. How do they stop these vicious, hungry ghost mutts? They feed them an innocent fox, and the episode ends with the dogs chasing after a poor fox for food, while the girls get away from the distracted hunting dogs. Yay, animal cruelty saves the day. And of course, the kids return home in reality, and the ending tries to make it vague if everything was real or not, but we all know that it was true. I thought this episode was okay, but it got boring a few times when the girls drifted around the Silent Hill dimension for long amounts of screen time and nothing happened. But the only part I truly hated with a passion was Amy's very stereotypical Valley Girl persona. Seriously, it got grating so fast. I mean, could you imagine if I did the whole review speaking like a Valley Girl? I mean, like, oh my gosh, that is, like, totally irritating. Wait, you're not my cuz, Pam. You're like a ghost. Like, release her, girl, now. Sit, doggy, sit. Yeah, it angered me quite a bit. The only thing I despised in this tale was the annoying main character. Other than that torture, the rest of this story is fairly good. It's kind of like Silent Hill and a Ghost redemption arc, so there's no harm in watching it. which means I give this tale a gold skull, but not a perfect ranking on account of Amy and sacrificing a fox. In this fan-favorite tale of suspense, an unsuspecting family vacations in an obviously creepy haunted house, owned by this disturbing teenager named Peter, who has some rather creepy rape vibes whenever he's around the main hero Danny. We find out that the creeper Peter has secretly invited them all here to his mansion to drain them of their youth with a soul-draining machine that he uses to make himself younger. Sort of a fountain of youth, but with Frankenstein science. However, our hero Danny catches on to Peter's lies and desperately tries to save her family from the insane madman. How is Peter capturing their souls? With mirrors.
Mirrors, you idiot! Oldest prank in the book!
And we introduce the biggest part I disliked in this episode. The stupid adults being useless cliche, and being blind to the obvious unnatural activity standing right in front of them. I mean it. After watching all of these supernatural horror shows, I've grown to hate this cliche so much. After watching well over hundreds of horror stories, there comes a time where you get tired of seeing the same stupid cliche over and over and over again, to the point where I'm sick of it. I was honestly going to give the Haunting Hours Tale mascot a perfect score up until this dumb idiot adults cliche popped up again for the upteenth time. So I denied it the honor because I'm really that tired of it. There are so many ways to avoid this stupid cliche, but it's always the same. The kid hero tells the adults that they're in danger, and the adults are total morons and refuse to believe them, even when they are given hard evidence explaining otherwise. Naturally, Danny tells her parents that Peter is evil and shows them that the magic mirrors all over the mansion are linked to Peter's evil secret laboratory, and they stupidly refuse to believe her. So, of course, Danny saves the day all on her own. And I do have to admit that I really did like the main character, because the actress seems to be playing herself up as an epic action hero like Schwarzenegger, but in a horror mystery. I thought Danny was one of the best heroes I've seen so far from this series. Seriously, the best part of this whole thing is that our main character and main antagonist ham it up a lot, and just have so much fun being in this. So Danny finds Peter's hidden Batman science lab, yes, really, and actually kills the villain by reversing the power of his soul-draining machine to return the youth to her parents, and makes Peter age into a frail old man, destroying his immortality for good. So at the end, Danny's family packs up to go home, but we get a surprisingly sad / unintentionally hilarious scene where Peter bids one last farewell to our kid hero before succumbing to his death. It goes like this. "You've beaten me, Danny. Forgive me for trying to harm you and your family, but my time has come. I'm going out back to finally perish and be one with my family once more." Okay, bye! No, I'm not joking. The old man version of Peter says goodbye before dying, and Danny doesn't give a crap and actually smiles and laughs at his depressing death. Dang, girl, you stone cold. I suppose I shouldn't be too hard on her, since the guy did try to murder her family, but wow, she was just super dark. I kind of respect that about her. Nevertheless, it was kind of morbidly humorous. I also most likely won't review this episode, since YMS of Your Movie Sucks already did it in his childhood traumas video. Check it out. Overall, this story was a great horror tale, but it did have an awful overused adult suck trope. But I can still give this episode a gold skull. A bit silly at times, but definitely worth checking out.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
The Tale of the Last Dance is Are You Afraid of the Dark's attempt to offer viewers a modernized adaptation of The Phantom of the Opera, and it was an average success. We follow this group of normal high school seniors who are so obviously college-aged adults that it gets kind of ridiculous, but sadly, their school is getting torn down after they finish graduation. A shy violinist named Tara starts having relationship problems with her jerkish, uncaring bad boyfriend too, causing her to consider breaking up with him because he sucks at being nice. But to make matters worse, a creepy mutant man abducts her and drags her underground in the school's catacombs to make her feel better and finally offer her a chance at a true friendship. Oh yeah, you didn't mishear me, a mutant monster man who lives under the school's catacombs abducts Tara and holds her underground to become friends with her. Don't you all remember getting lost in the catacombs at your high school, folks? I always hated getting lost under there while heading off to gym class. However, the mutant turns out to be a nice guy who had a crush on Tara and only wanted to speak with her for the first and last time before the school is demolished, where Tara unrealistically forms a bond with the man who took her against her will and pities him. You know, if I had this girl's luck with love, I'd be turned away from dating forever. I mean, really? If my choices were between being with a prick who pisses all over my feelings and a nutjob who catnaps me in a love dungeon, I'd become asexual. But I digress. The mutant man reveals that he wants Tara to follow her dreams of creating beautiful music and actually teaches her jerk boyfriend to stop being a jerk and truly show love for his own girlfriend. Some accidents and misunderstandings happen, but the jerk boyfriend turns good, and Tara becomes the first person to ever show the unnamed mutant man true compassion. She plays him a song, they share one last dance on prom night, and the mutant man leaves forever, heading off to Lord knows where in the great unknown. It's all fine and heartwarming, but there's just one thing. Who is this guy? This drove me up the wall. The episode hammers in how tragic this mutant guy is and actually implies that he once was a former human being who knew Tara when he was a student attending the old high school. But we never find out who he is. And worst of all, we never find out how he went from an average teenage kid to a mutant monster man hiding underneath the school's catacombs. What? There's just a deformed monster man living under the high school and nobody asks any questions? I wouldn't mind so much if it weren't for the fact that it was said this guy was a former human being who played a big part in Tara's life. But we get nothing. There's just a disfigured mutant man who lives underneath the local high school catacombs. Makes perfect sense. Other than this huge plot hole, the story was fine. It goes for the heartwarming feels, and I can admit that it does a pretty decent job at it. Nothing spectacular like the shiny red bicycle, but I did feel for the mutant man in the end, so I can grant it mercy and provide it a silver skull. Not too shabby, but it could use some stronger reworking on the tragic monster. The Tale of the Jagged Sign is another Are You Afraid of the Dark tale exploring the unfinished business of a ghost who turns out to be a victim of a dark tragedy rather than another evildoer. In this tale, a stupid girl named Claudia visits her elders at a retirement home that's naturally in a cursed forest, where she stumbles upon a scary ghost. She befriends a country girl named Kate, who warns her that she must avoid seeing a jagged sign on the top of the town's mountainside, since those who see the curse mark will be haunted by a ghost who forces the victims to kill themselves by making them jump off the mountain. So, naturally, Claudia looks at the symbol and stupidly explores the dangerous mountainside to learn more about the ghost. She learns that the jagged sign was really an unfinished drawing that the ghost was trying to create for his girlfriend, but tragically, he died falling off of the cliff before he could finish it. Kate saves the day by explaining everything for the ghost, and they save the day by completing the jagged drawing, where the ghost finally rests in peace. This tale was doing okay, but I got pissed off so often at how stupid and useless Claudia was. No joke, no exaggeration, Claudia barely does anything useful in this whole tale, and the episode actually relies on her friend Kate doing all the actual mystery solving in this. Kate asks the questions. Kate studies the ghost's history. Kate helps the ghost rest in peace, and Kate even saves stupid Claudia from her stupidity. Yet in the conclusion, it's Claudia who gains all the credit for assisting the ghost, even though she did nothing. I see how it is, Are You Afraid of the Dark? The black girl does all the hard work in this, and she gets nothing but a small thank you. But the stupid white girl barely lifts a finger, and she gets all the huge hero praise. Real progressive children's show. In all seriousness, I truly did feel that our main character was but useless, but I did like her friend Kate a lot more. The Jagged Sign is an okay, heartwarming mystery, but it is kind of flawed. Nevertheless, I thought it was a lot stronger than the Frozen Ghost, so even I, this stone-cold cat, can find it in his heart to give this story a gold skull. I do recommend watching it, but don't have too high expectations. You know what? I think I might actually do a full review on this one. Probably not soon, but sometime in the future. Never mind, skip. Alright, now we're getting into the spooky stuff. The Tale of the Chameleons is pretty much the fusion between the V miniseries and Really You from The Haunting Hour. In this tale, we follow an adorable teenage girl named Janice who gets bitten by a wicked chameleon who turns out to be an alien spy secretly trying to steal Janice's life. She soon turns our protagonist into a feral chameleon who can't speak to her friends or family, and real Janice has to expose the deranged villain before the alien succeeds in her villainous plan to replace all her family members with chameleons, where she'll then have an army to, you guessed it, take over the world. Now, it's never really explained all that well, but it's implied that the chameleon is really an alien invading Earth by infiltrating multiple Earth families to act as underground soldiers, prepping for an all-out war. Again, the episode never says this, but vaguely infers that this is her villainous end goal. Otherwise, the rest of this plot features Janice's best friend trying to expose the alien and save her real best friend, Solo. What's funny is that the chameleon Janice actually proves to be a better daughter and friend than the real Janice ever was, giving this tale a strong Lily D feel. Of course, Janice's best friend changes her back to a human form, and we get a classic "which one is the real one" scene. Honestly, I thought this episode was doing good, but the special effects sucked. Now, Are You Afraid of the Dark has shown that they have a real flair for their makeup and practical effects, but here, they try out some bad Animorph CGI, and it fails. It fails horribly. But the dated CGI graphics are not the worst part, if you can believe it or not. No, the worst parts of this episode are when the characters swap out real living pet chameleons with an obvious plastic toy lizard. I tried getting into it, but it is so obvious. You can clearly see when it's a living reptile and when the actors are holding on to a toy of the creature. And they focus on it. Like, they were proud of these effects and purposely hold on these shots of the swapped out lizards as if to convince the audience that their effects were that good. That's really the only major bad thing I can say about it. The special effects were awful, and it showed. Other than that complaint, the actual story was pretty solid, minus a few of these small errors. Also, when they do the "which one is the real one" cliche, the show apparently forgot that human Janice was wearing a completely different outfit than the one that the evil shapeshifter one was wearing.
Great continuity.
I thought this tale was flawed, but in the grand scheme of things, it was passable. Not my favorite story, but I'm sure some people can get into it. Despite the bad effects, I give it a silver skull. Trust me, a huge saving grace in this one is its super dark ending. In this tale, we get a classic Alien Among Us story that was shot very well, but lacks a huge shocking twist on account of the story's predictability. In this plot, a stupid jock named Jake falls in love with a mysterious alien girl who needs his help stopping an alien invasion from destroying his planet, since she requires his football ring, which has a magic moonstone in it capable of killing all the evil aliens. Guess what the twist is? No, really, guess. You know it, the hot alien girl is really the bad guy, and she wants to use his magic moonstone to help her invade the Earth, kill all humans, and take over the world.
Of course.
Not going to lie, this twist is almost as obvious as Alexis from the Nightmare Room being a werewolf. This alien chick does nothing to make herself seem innocent, and the idiot jock buys every one of her words at face value, unknowingly helping her take over the Earth. We spend half of this tale farting around with Jake's moronic girlfriend, trying to learn more about the alien girl before getting easily outsmarted. Then the rest of this tale is the alien seducing and using Jake to give birth to the alien lunar locusts, and unleashing them upon the Earth in the twist ending. Now, I really love sci-fi tales, so it was a decent story, but it had a very obvious twist ending, which makes the waiting a bit dull. Overall, it was okay, but nothing all that special, so I give this story a silver skull. Interesting alien concepts, but a painfully predictable plot twist. Next time, Jake should learn from the great Magneto.
Mr. Mario never trusts a beautiful woman, especially one who's interested in you.
You said it. The only hot alien girl I do favors for is Liara. And Ahsoka. And Celeste. Dang it, why are alien girls so hot? Now, this is a story that had an interesting concept on paper, but the full-blown execution of it wasn't as cool as the show thought it would be. In this story, two highly competitive twin sisters who don't like each other are asked by a creepy stranger named Drake to do a beta test for his new laser tag arcade game and see if it'll be challenging enough for his special target audience. Because even though the sisters are skilled in martial arts, it means that they'll also be talented at a shooting game. Makes sense, I suppose? We find out that Drake is really using the girls to create clone robot soldiers of them for his alien customers, because Drake is really a black market dealer who makes space weapons and wanted to use schematics of the sisters as blueprints for his ultimate robot soldiers. He abducts the two and makes photocopy clone androids of them, but the sisters very easily dupe him into releasing them and escape from his lab. However, the show actually gives us a silly final boss fight where the two sisters must work together to defeat Drake at a laser tag game. Something I felt that really crippled this story is that the main antagonist, Drake, is not very intimidating or written well. This guy does a very bad Jim Carrey impression all throughout the whole story and repeats this dumb catchphrase a lot, which the show thinks is really funny, but really it's not all that cool. For some reason, the laser tag arena doesn't have any guns in it either, because apparently this show that has people dying horribly all the time didn't want to show children guns being used. Yeah, a laser tag arena where they don't use laser guns. I'm sure we all had fun with that game setting. Why do people insist on not showing guns in kids' shows? Star Wars does it all the time, and nobody was traumatized from it. Heck, kids play gun games frequently, so what do they use if the censors banned laser guns? Well, they use Cyclops laser goggles to shoot each other instead. Of course. This isn't so bad, but even the final battle consists of the twin sisters fighting this Jim Carrey impersonator at this stupid laser tag game. Yes, instead of murdering the escaped prisoners, Drake goes in with his toy laser goggles to coerce the martial arts sisters back into his evil lab to clone them some more. And if that wasn't stupid enough, then I kid you not, Drake actually turns to the camera, breaks the fourth wall, and tells the audience his stupid catchphrase. No joke, he breaks the fourth wall to repeat the same stupid catchphrase he's repeated all throughout the whole story. Because if we heard it the first 20 times, then the scene where he tells the viewers the same quote will surely get a laugh this time. The sisters naturally beat him up because it's Jim Carrey against twin karate students. Easy victory. But after the sisters unite, we see that Drake was really a robot all along. What? Yeah, apparently this guy was an alien robot trying to create more evil alien robots so he could make money, despite being a machine and therefore not requiring any life necessities. This plot twist just punched a large number of holes in their story. The real focus of the laser maze is on the two sisters. They learn to stop competing with each other as rivals and learn to love each other as sisters. Yay, joyous day. This episode was okay, but the plot holes kind of sink it a little because they put way too much focus on blowing your mind with a story that honestly worked better at being simple. Also, the villain needed a huge upgrade, since I just don't see people saying that Drake was as cool as every other villain we've seen before. I give this one a bronze skull. Great idea, but riddled with plot holes. Wow. Just wow. This tale of suspense was awful. This might just be one of the absolute worst Are You Afraid of the Dark stories in the whole series. We follow some struggling teenage model named Emma, who is so obviously an adult that it becomes comical how they expect us to buy that she's in high school. No joke, all of the actors here are clearly college-aged women, and the show attempts to pass them off as high school sophomores. But it gets even worse. This chick and everyone else in the whole story is awful at acting. This is honestly some of the worst acting I have ever seen on this show, because not one or two people are weak at acting, but everyone in this tale is terrible at convincing you that they're invested in this performance. Emma is told that she sucks at modeling, so she goes to an obviously evil mansion to seek help from this scary Mary prototype who tricks models into coming to her house so she can steal their faces and wear them, making herself beautiful and immortal forever. So Emma gets her face stolen, then she's trapped inside the evil mansion with all the other models who lost their looks and made a slave to serve the face stealer witch. What's to stop her and the other slaves from escaping the villain's house or even fighting back? Absolutely nothing. I kid you not, there is nothing preventing these imprisoned models from escaping the haunted house or killing the face-stealing sorceress at all, and they just accept being deformed prisoners forced to do this bad guy's bidding for eternity. This is so unbelievably stupid that it sucks out all tension in this plot. But if you can trust me, it actually gets worse. How does Emma react to getting her face ripped off and becoming a scary Mary slave forever? Well, she says this. What do you guys do for fun around here? You mean you don't even get your names? I think that witch is so mean. Girl, your face has been mauled off and there's nothing stopping you from kicking her butt. Why are you taking all of this in like it's a light breeze? And guess how Emma stops the vile witch? After a few hours of being imprisoned by no evil forces at work, she convinces all the faceless models to do something they never thought of in over 100 years. Fight back! And wouldn't you know it, all the hundreds of models beat up the face-stealing witch and steal her easily located spellbook to remove her dark magic and give everyone their faces back. Geez, are you afraid of the dark? Way to promote the stereotype that all models are ditzy twats who can't see the obvious solutions that are right in front of them. This episode was the dumbest plot in the entire series. The acting sucked. The villain was lame. The main characters are morons. The scary moments are completely wasted. The cool ideas were tossed away for an idiot plot. The love yourself for who you are moral is undercut by all the models being hot and getting their faces back. And worst of all, the grand climax is piss poor. I hate this episode. And if any of you still like it, then wake the heck up and stop torturing yourself. This story was horrendous. Long story short, stick with Scary Mary if you want a good version of this tale. I give it a decayed skull and the easiest 0 out of 10 ever. The Tale of C7 was honestly pretty awesome. I actually loved it. In my personal opinion, this was the Dream Girl done right. We follow this naive family moving into a haunted lake house hotel, where they plan to reopen it and make a profit. But as the main character reactivates an old jukes box, it summons the spirit of a dead ghost woman who haunts the family until she reunites with her deceased veteran boyfriend, who never saw her face before the two tragically died. And of course, our kid hero solves the mystery and plays the missing song on the jukebox to reset the time where the ghost girl made it to her boyfriend at long last, where they share a final dance before ascending into the afterlife. All is well and good, and the family lives together happily ever after. It's simple, sweet, and very well crafted, entertaining all viewers. Great stuff. However, as much as I enjoyed this tale, there is one reason why it did not gain a perfect score despite my high praise. And it's, of course, that stupid adults are useless cliché. Oh yeah, they brought it back and made it worse than ever. Why? Why, C7? Why? I was really loving it up until you brought in that stupid overused cliché. This episode was doing great, but then, when the ghost makes the hero's little sister disappear in the Silent Hill fog, our protagonist actually calls the cops and tells the police officer, "Help, officer, the evil ghost abducted my little sister." Yeah, big shock they hang up on him, and I groan at how stupid the hero looks. Please, for the love of all that's holy, stop using this stupid idiot adult cliché. It just pisses me off, and it's so annoying to see every horror story ever pulling this cliché out, even though there's better solutions to force the main character to be a lone hero. Other than that pet peeve of mine, this episode was honestly great. I did like the heartwarming reunion between the ghost couple, and the family did have a good team dynamic, so I can give this tale of lost love a gold skull, but not a perfect score. So close, Are You Afraid of the Dark? So very, very close. Well, let's repeat the same thing we did last time, end this review spree on a positive episode. The Tale of the Dark Music is one of the greatest episodes of the entire series, thanks to its gripping horror, well-written storytelling, and dark, creepy monsters. However, I won't be reviewing this one since JonTron already did it, and everyone already knows that it's great, so there's not much point in me discussing it. In this tale, a boy named Andy and his dim-witted family inherit a scary house from their dead relative, but our main character discovers that there's a monster in the basement who looks like Blacksmith Orange? Blacksmith Orange? You're in this? Yes, in my spare time, I like to scare children to force them to subscribe to my channel. It was the perfect crime, and I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids and that talking cat. Okay, whatever. So Blacksmith Orange haunts Andy and is summoned by the power of music being played, making Andy realize that he can tame the creature with the soothing melodies of 90s radio. However, it does take him some time to level up. Andy encounters the ghost/demon in many intimidating forms, but by far the scariest of them all is naturally the killer doll. That is terrifying. However, he comes across an idiot bully who honestly feels more like a serial killer because this moron actually threatens to kill our main character just for being related to the creepy guy who used to live on the block. Seriously, writers, you know there's a difference between a jerk bully and a future serial killer, right? Whatevs. So Andy does something we can all get behind, sacrificing the idiot bully to Blacksmith Orange, who kills the jerk off screen, then devours his corpse. But Blacksmith Orange reveals that he can also grant Andy magic wishes, as long as he keeps feeding him human souls. And Andy goes, okay then, let's be friends. So Andy and Blacksmith Orange become villainous bros and slaughter the entire neighborhood. As you can guess, this fan-favorite episode was indeed a great horrifying tale of suspense that does hold up very well. I think the dark music was a fantastic horror story because it's incredibly dark, the monster transformations are very disturbing, and the twist ending has Andy living long enough to see himself become the villain and turning to the dark side. Closing us out on a grim conclusion where Andy becomes eviler than the demon. The basement monster is kind of like Pennywise, a shape-shifting beast that can bend reality as long as it feeds on souls, and harasses a kid until making a good deal to win him over, so they both score. Sounds like something straight out of Stephen King's mind, so I can definitely recommend it for everyone who's interested in Are You Afraid of the Dark? A true horror story classic. I give it a gold skull and a perfect score. Go and watch it. And those were my rapid-fire reviews on more of my most requested tales from the classic horror anthology series, Are You Afraid of the Dark? As I said, more single reviews are on the way, but these were the tales I simply didn't want to fight copyright holders over for individual videos. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I declare this meeting of the Midnight Society adjourned.